What's up, YouTube? This is Buckshot33, aka Boston Chris, and I'm going to give my review of Logan. Me and my wife went last night to go see it, and honestly, great movie. I enjoyed it a lot. She actually enjoyed it, and she likes the comic book movies, but she's not really a big X-Men fan. She's not a comic book fan whatsoever, but she does enjoy the movies, and she's been more of a fan of the mainstream universe that we've seen in the past few years. She hasn't really watched the X-Men movies. She's not into those. But overall, I think it was a great movie. I thought it was, just done extremely well. And really, when you look at the history of Wolverine in the movies, he started this role about 15 years ago with the first X-Men movie. And, at that time, you're going back to, 2000, 2001, right in there. At that time, comic book movies weren't the same. They weren't looked at as the same. A lot of them had problems where it was just like, you went to go see a comic book movie. Hollywood wasn't really like, they weren't doing, there wasn't the same, I guess, type of care and preparation put into those. And you can go back and watch any of them and kind of see that, certain movies, they stood out and they did good things, but then those other ones that really fell off, they all crashed and burned, all those franchises that started like that. And I'll point out, basically, the big three, I guess you could call them. You had Spider-Man, you had X-Men, and then you had Fantastic Four. And Fantastic Four being the weakest of the three. The first movie was okay. Last movie completely sucked. Spider-Man. First movie was, pretty good. I liked it a lot. Second movie was very good, actually. The third movie sucked. That's just the way it went. And with the X-Men, first movie, pretty good. Second movie, pretty good. It wasn't great, but it was okay. And the third movie was trash. Just straight garbage, man. So it's just like, it was different. Like, a lot of the movies back then had, tons of special effects. They looked really, really good as far as, what the effects were that were happening. But as far as the story went, wasn't that good. The acting in certain cases wasn't that good. The writing was terrible. The plots weren't that great either. It was just, you basically put eye candy up there for 2 hours that nobody had been able to see, and they basically were looking at it where the strength of having these characters on screen for the first time and being able to actually portray them, was basically the main focus. And that's where things kind of differentiate. And if you go with Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine, we all know is trash. The Wolverine, I mean, there were parts of it that were good, but there were also parts of it that were really, really bad. And it's just, it's funny because the way I look at it, it's one of those things where Wolverine's a kind of a hard character to put out there in this climate where it's PG-13 usually for those type of movies. He's not a PG-13 character. He's more of an R-rated character. Within the X-Men universe, I guess you can call him kind of PG-13, okay? He's kind of tame. But in his own book, he's rated R. He always has been, always will be. I think that, Hollywood finally recognized that. And of course, with Deadpool doing as well as it was, they were just like, you know what, we're going to make a rated R Wolverine movie, which is something that fans have been asking for a long time, and they didn't disappoint. So, just to let everybody know, there's going to be spoilers. That's just, it's hard to give a movie review with no spoilers, other than, if you're going to get detailed into it. So, if you, want to see the movie purely and don't want to hear any more, any specifics on it, I would say, then for this part of the review, the spoiler-free part of it, great movie. If you haven't seen it, go out and see it. And with that, you should stop the video now. If you don't care, and if you've already seen it, or if you just want to kind of get another opinion on it, then here we go. So, the Wolverine movie itself, Logan, is a different take on Wolverine altogether. He's old now. And they do a really great job illustrating that. When you first see him, his hair is starting to gray. He's got a noticeable limp. He's not the same kind of character that you've grown accustomed to. His healing factor is definitely not what it used to be. He's slowed down a lot. And, in the beginning, like the first combat of the movie, these guys are trying to take the hubcaps off of this limo that he drives. And what happens is just that, he tries to tell them not to do it. They shoot him. He gets back up. He's like, come on, guys, like, don't do this. They rush him, and they end up, jumping him for a little bit, beating him up. He finally gets to the point where he just has his berserker rage. And he tries to pop out his claw, and the claw doesn't, like, he's got two that come out, and one kind of just isn't making it out all the way. So even, popping his claws out isn't something that's a given right away. But seeing as how it's a bunch of just, thugs that got, no street smarts other than the fact that, they're from the hood and they're going to go out and get, try to beat this dude up. In the universe of, Marvel, where it's, Wolverine's the best at what he does, he has no problem taking these guys out. He's a little bit slow about it in the beginning, but he takes them out. And so, being that he's had a rough life, being that he's older now, he drinks a lot, he's got demons. He's definitely not the same Wolverine that you used to, who will have a beer or two and, move on. Like, he's definitely, you can tell that, he's definitely had some rough experiences, and, everything has kind of worn him down. He's a lot more cynical. He's not really he's not really optimistic whatsoever. And so, he's, like I said, a limo driver. And that's what he does. He's kind of hiding the fact that he is or used to be Wolverine. He doesn't want to be known as that anymore. And he lives, past the American border, Mexican-American border, out in Mexico, on, I guess, like an abandoned oil rig, something like that. An abandoned, it's just like kind of like this abandoned factory or whatever. He lives with Caliban and, Charles Xavier, Professor X. And, Professor X is very old. He's pretty much, you're introduced to him in this movie, and he's just kind of rambling on, talking about a lot of different things, and when he sees Wolverine, he's like, he doesn't fully know who he is. He acts like he doesn't know who he is. And, Charles gives him, Wolverine gives him a, medicine to kind of suppress his, suppress his powers, because right now he has these seizures that, cause him to basically, emit out his powers in a harmful way. And, so he has to do that to kind of keep that in check. And once he, gets everything stabilized again, Charles, goes back to knowing who he is. He knows everything that's going on. And, you can tell he's in pain. He doesn't like, he doesn't like what's happening to him. And he just kind of, he's not the man, he's not really much of the man that he used to be. So, basically, Wolverine's taking these, jobs, as a driver to try to save up a bunch of money. And, basically what his plan is that he's going to buy this boat called the Sun Chaser and just live on the ocean with Charles for the rest of their days and kind of hang out there and just kind of let the world go away. But Caliban has to kind of let him know that, things aren't as simple as that, that, Charles' state is kind of getting worse. He's talking to people, he's doing all this. And this is this is set in the future. So it's at a time when mutants don't really exist anymore. Mutants are gone. Basically, those three are the last ones that they know of. And so, when Wolverine talks to Charles again about it, he's talking about how Charles is telling him how he's been talking to a new mutant. There's new mutants out there. You got to figure this out, and we have to go to them and help them. He thinks it's just the ramblings of a guy who's kind of just lost his way and just kind of doing his own thing. So Wolverine, while taking a woman to a funeral, is approached by this unknown woman who's asking him, referring to him as the Wolverine, something that people don't do. And, wants to know about him and everything like that. And, tries to get everything, basically tries to proposition him to help her out. He wants no part of it. He, goes on his own. After that, Donald Pierce from the Reavers, goes to Wolverine, figures out who he is, lets him know that he knows who he is, and, tries to get him to help find this, this woman who's, basically hiding something that he needs. So, what happens is that, he gets called for another job, goes to, this motel, sees the woman there. She offers him a lot of money and says, listen, if you can take me and, my girl to this place, we can go there, we can live out our lives, we'll be fine. You'll get, I'll offer you, and she offers him a lot of money to do it. And it's enough to get him to buy the Sun Chaser, so he considers it. Not right away, but he considers it. Turns out that he, gets there, it's a little too late. He takes the money that he's supposed to be, or the first part of the money, he takes it and looks for the rest, doesn't find it, drives off. So, basically, Donald Pierce shows up to Wolverine's, new place where he's living, tries to, get him to give information on, what he was doing, and, on the girl itself, and figure out what's going on, where he can find this girl at. Which leads to Pierce getting laid out, just knocked out. You see a pipe hit him in the head, and, lo and behold, X-23 is the one that threw the pipe at him. So while he's knocked out, Wolverine tells Caliban to take him to the desert, shoot him in the head, leave him for dead in a ditch. That doesn't end up happening because Pierce wakes up and captures Caliban. So then the Reavers in force show up to, the safe haven that the Wolverine's house, basically we'll call it. And while he's trying to escape, he basically is trapped, tries to talk to them about, what's going on and everything like that, and, says he has no idea what's going on. And this is when you see X-23 spring into action, and she is awesome. She basically just tears through these guys, and basically by the skin of their teeth, Wolverine and them end up escaping. So, basically what happens next is that, Wolverine and Charles kind of on the road doing their thing, and Caliban, now being captured, is being used to track them. So, Wolverine and Charles kind of discuss a lot of different things about, how, he should be, trying to get closer to this girl, have, allow himself to live life again, just because he's not allowing himself to do that. He's kind of he's withdrawn from the world. He doesn't want to be part of it. And throughout their time on the road, it's brought up a few different times about this Westchester incident that killed 600 people, and also killed the X-Men, and, or killed some of the X-Men. And, that, I think, is basically, the big plot point that hints as to why Wolverine doesn't want to get close to people, just because the people he was close with ended up dying. Not by anyone's real true fault, but they're gone. So his sense of family is gone. And they end up meeting a different family while on the road, and, they, are able to stay with them. And so while they're there, you see a little bit more bonding with, or a little bit more of the kind of friendship dynamic that Charles and Wolverine have. And, it really was kind of a good moment, for them and everything like that. And just, you saw them kind of return to normalcy for, little bit. And then, unfortunately, that all gets shattered by X-24, which is basically I don't want to ruin that for you. That's pretty cool. But like, from that point on, the movie gets really intense, and you see what happens as Wolverine battles X-24. He's not quite as strong as he used to be. Takes a really big beating, and they're able to get themselves out of it. Well, basically they're able to. I don't want to say this and spoil it too hard, but basically at the end of that situation, Wolverine's able to get away from the situation, but not unscathed. They take some pretty heavy emotional toll, and also physically he got beat pretty badly enough that he actually has to be checked into a hospital. And basically the doctor is kind of funny, and he's basically letting him know that there's something wrong within you. I understand your wounds healed up and everything like that, and you just need rest. You need to be able to, but you should check in to find out what is killing you. And he knows that he's a mutant. He lets him know, I've always wanted to work on one of your kind before, but I never had the chance. And now that I see you, there's something wrong. You have to go ahead and figure out what it is. Wolverine, doesn't want to hear it, and continues to try to get to North Dakota with X-23 in order to find the safe haven that she was talking about. From that point on, you end up finding out that there's a colony of these children that, were basically experiments made by this Mexican hospital, or this Mexican company, that, because they wanted to raise these children as weapons. And what happened is that because of the fact that, the children realize that they're stronger than the people that are holding them back, and they don't want to be used in that way. Some of them, commit suicide, and for the most part, once the company figures out that they can't control these kids, they start to round them up and what they say, put them to sleep. So they're rounding them up and killing them. And so the nurses that are, working in this facility grow to, know these children. They grow to, care for them. So they help them escape. And, they all get separated, but they have this one idea of getting to this one place in order to be able to be safe. So, you end up finding that colony, and within that, there's a few other characters that we kind of get to know, and that we do know from the Marvel Universe as well, such as Richter and a few others that end up being the New Mutants. Now, as far as, because they've hinted at a New Mutants movie / TV show, a lot of different things. So I'm not quite sure if that's just going to happen with it, just because I don't know how the timeline is going to run. But definitely, food for thought. So with this being, Hugh Jackman's last performance, unfortunately, huge battle scene at the end, and it was really badass. And I'm not going to, go ahead and describe it blow by blow, because it's definitely worth seeing. But Wolverine takes a really bad beating, and it's clear he's not going to survive it. And so you see that really an actually nice moment between him and X-23 where he lowers his guard down. He takes the time to actually experience life, or to basically let somebody else in, and he acknowledges that she's his daughter, and that he has that really brief family moment with her, which what I thought was nice. And the kids go on to whatever their future is going to be as they head into the sanctuary that they've been they've been told was provided for them. So overall, when you look at the movie as a whole, it was really well done, really well written. The plot was good. It wasn't something that was just a violent gore fest just for the sake of being gory and bloody, and it wasn't something that was just basically written as just this kind of throwaway movie because characters were leaving. It was actually done in a really good way, and it was a really good send-off for those characters involved in it. And it kind of leaves you in a spot where you're not quite sure what's going to happen next, because like I said, mutants are kind of a thing of the past now. They're kind of extinct, and now you have these children who are mutants who not quite sure what's going to happen with them going forward. And as far as the timelines go and everything, we don't know who is still left as far as mutants are concerned, and who's not around. So I think that with that whole dynamic, it's going to be pretty interesting to see where they go with it, whether they're going to reboot the franchise or what's going to happen next. But, as far as the whole movie is concerned, it was a great movie. I would give it, if I was going to give it a comic grade, I would give it a 9.8. I thought it was that good of a movie. It's up to you to think of what you want. Hopefully, if you've seen it, go ahead and leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. As far as how it was done, whether you agree, disagree. Let me know what you think were the best parts of the movie. Let me know, whether or not, for those who have seen it, would you see it again? Is it a definite DVD purchase when it comes out, or is this something that you thought was, it was good, but I can pass it by and look at something else. I'd love to know your thoughts. I'm going to get going. That's my thoughts. Great movie. I thought it was really well done. And, I hope that, really you go and see it and just enjoy it. Because, like I said, it's kind of the end of an era when you look at it. And, it was approached as a really good end of an era film. And, like I say this, it is a shame that they took this long to make a really good Wolverine movie. Because, in a way, it's bittersweet. Like, it's really good, but it's the last one with, the character that we've defined as Wolverine for so long. And it makes me wonder, is anybody going to be able to step into those shoes and do it again and do it as well? Maybe, maybe not. You never know. But, I really do think that, this is something that, is a good sign as far as the movies are concerned, as far as that franchise is concerned. But I also think that, it's something that could have been done a long time ago. And, had they been more willing to take a chance to make this movie the way it needed to be made, or just to portray this character in this way, they could have had something really solid going through, like the origin story, the X-Men origin story, the Wolverine origin stories, and the Wolverine movie itself would have been so much better had they just let the character be what they needed to be. So, with that, I say like this, it is a step in the right direction as far as, movies with, gritty characters and everything. I think that, hopefully they will, keep this going, and portray these characters as you'd like to see them. But, I don't get to make those decisions. If I did, I'd be a very rich man because I'd try to make the best movie I can. But, it's alright. As long as they make them and they're good, I will keep watching them. So, I want to thank everybody for watching this review. Please let me know your comments. Let me know what you think. Just, I don't know. Just kind of let me know what you felt on that movie. With that, I am going to get going. This has been Buckshot33, a.k.a. Boston Chris. Thank you for watching. I'm out.